What, baby? No, not right.
everyone.
Hi.
How's everyone doing tonight? Welcome to our live Q&A. We got the normal cast of characters here tonight. We got Stephanie, we got Jackie, we got Ashley, Blake.
You're a little echo.
May drop in.
You're
What's
a little
that?
echo. You guys hearing it, or is it just me because I'm in the other room?
I didn't hear it.
Okay, it's just me. Go roll with it. Sorry.
All right. So hope everyone's having a good evening.
Oh,
Steph is not.
I'm trying. Hey guys, welcome everybody to another live Q&A. Blake couldn't join us tonight. He had another obligation. He may or may come in later. We always love to have him on because of his medical advice and experience. If we don't have the answer to something that requires medical, then we'll be sure to jot it down, or we'll ask you guys to email us at our email. Do keep this email throughout the live Q&A, because if there's anything you need to send us, we always ask that you send it to us in email and redact all your personal information. We do not need to see any of your addresses, social security numbers, anything personal. So again, we'll pop that up throughout the course tonight. You've got myself, you've got Jackie, you've got Ashley, you've got Chris. Ashley's going to be asking the questions tonight. So again, start dropping those questions into the comment section, because if we don't have questions, we're out. Because that's what we're here for. So
Stephanie's out, not having it tonight.
I'm trying. But I'm going to go ahead and put the disclaimer up, and we'll go ahead and read that. So stand by. Whoops. There we go. Here we go. All right. Let me make it just itself. There we go. All right, guys. So the VA claims veterans helping veterans is not an accredited agent, VSO, attorney, or entity recognized by the Department of Veterans Affairs, VA, and is not affiliated with the VA in any way. We do not assist veterans with the preparation, presentation, and prosecution of VA disability claims for VA benefits. This Q&A is solely for guidance purposes and should not be considered medical or legal advice. And like I said, we're here to help everybody the best we can based on our own experiences. And I guess with that being said, I guess we've got one question right now.
Yeah, we've only got one. So
I'm not pushing the envelope here tonight, and I'm sure my other partners here would love to be off early too. I don't want to get off early, but if I don't have questions, then we're out. All right, go ahead with the first one.
All right. So this first one is from Mr. Bob Williamson. So I received my decision letter yesterday, effective date August 10th, 2022. I received retroactive back pay today. However, it was about half of what I calculated that I should receive. Does back pay always come in one payment, or has anyone ever received split payments? Hoping there is more to follow. Is there anyone to ask how the amount was calculated?
Well, the August 10th, 2022 rings a bell. So that's obviously when the PACT Act bill passed. So it sounds like a presumptive was granted and obviously increased your overall. I mean, there are cases where back pay does come in split payments, but I know for me,
oftentimes back pay will come in split payments because, sometimes when the appeals have been continuously pursued for a long time, different COLA rates apply, different disability rates apply because, they change every year. Dependent if you have a lawyer or a fee agreement with somebody, there's a bunch of different things, but they should all hit within a few days of each other. If they don't hit like within a week of getting the other one, you can call and follow up on that. But if you wait till you get your decision letter, so your rating decision, your notification letter, there's going to be a breakdown of exactly how they figured out your pay. So that's how you can determine if there's an error or not. If you think there's an error, you can always request an audit of your of your disability compensation as well, and they can do that. But it's not unusual to see multiple payments hit your bank account.
And also you can go on to va.gov and look at your payment history. And if you have, sometimes if you have like a significant amount of back pay or any back pay for that matter, that's not your typical VA compensation. A lot of times it'll say that, and it'll have like an NA, meaning it's pending deposit. So you can do what Jackie said, or you can also you can always call the 800 number. We can pop that up. Chris, I believe we have that on our feed. You can call the 800 number, and you can call them tomorrow, and you can ask them and say, look, I just got X amount of dollars. I believe I'm owed more. And maybe they can give you an update and say, oh yeah, there's another pending deposit or not. They won't give you a specific amount or anything, but they could maybe give you an update. So, well, first, congrats on getting, Bob, the increase and whatnot. And hopefully you'll get an answer here shortly.
Okay, this next one is from Facebook. So not sure if this has an answer, but I'm going to shoot my shot. How long should I expect my claim to take if I am backlogged? I got a letter saying my claim has been backlogged about a month ago.
That's not backlogged.
Yeah, there's no letter saying you're backlogged. There is a letter that says, sorry, your claim has taken a little bit longer, but there's no backlog claim. It just depends right now.
And if it was just a month ago, and if it's just a month ago,
yeah,
that's not very long. So, and it also depends on how many claims you filed. If you file multiple claims together, if you file one claim, remember, each claim for each veteran is completely different. So while one veteran is done in maybe a month and another veteran is 6 months, it completely is a different ball game for each veteran.
Does it also depend on what office your claim goes to? Does that make a big enough difference, or?
No, because they have so just like Apple, they have the giant cloud now where claims get assigned based on availability. And then, it also depends if it's a special issue. So some claims can only be worked by specialized processors here, there, everywhere and stuff. Right. So long and short of it, as we always say, there really is no good way to say how long your claim will take. If you qualify for one of the measures that they can use to expedite your claim, so you're having a financial hardship, you're over the age of 85, you're terminal, blah, 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 all those, you can file that paperwork and make it happen. Otherwise than that, I know it's hard, but be patient.
It's in the cloud.
Well, the Facebook user also stated that they submitted their claim in July. It's their first claim. So duly noted, it's your first claim. You're new to this process. Totally understand. July is not that long ago, even though 3 months seems a while ago. It's not out of the norm right now. And like Jackie said, she did hit something else. Sensitive claims such as like PTSD, like MST, those are specific handled claims. Those can sometimes take longer because I believe, if I'm correct, there's only one RO that handles MST claims, or is there more now? I know Puerto Rico, but is there more?
They're centralized for initial and reconsiderations. They're centralized to Puerto Rico. DROCs have appeal jurisdiction, and they can work their own MST claims. But all MST claims, other than appeals, are so like just normal claims or supplemental claims, are going to be the decisions will be rendered by Puerto Rico. And they work for Puerto Rico. They're all over the United States, though. They have remote raters, so
Right. Okay, awesome. So I hope that answered your question. Just remember the military's motto: hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
It's pretty much like that with the VA claims, especially with the PACT Act and everything else. All right.
All right. This next one is from Mr. Bob Connor. Are there any fillable PDF VA forms? There is, because I've used them myself.
Mm-hmm. They all are. So we have every DBQ in our group in the file section that you can review. There are also the PDF forms for things like such as the statement to support a claim. But yes, the answer is yes. Typically, if your computer allows you, to have PDF fillable, you can actually fill it right there on your computer and save it. I know I can do it on my end. I think it really just depends on your computer and your software. If you have PDF fillable, but typically, yes, you can get them all filled in right off the computer. Now, I do think you should save it to your computer. Don't just like click on it and then it opens up a new link like in Google or something. Save it to your desktop or computer and then reopen it and then start typing it. Because sometimes people forget to do, they do it all and then they forget to save. So it's best to at least save it on your desktop first. But yes, the answer is yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this next one is from Lenny. Can diabetes be secondary to hypertension and obstructive sleep apnea? We have a on your featured tab about the sleep.
Diabetes secondary to hypertension.
So potentially anything could be secondary to anything if you have the evidence supporting it and you have a medical professional that feels that it's more likely or not due to that thing. Is that a common association or is that a common causation? No, of course not. It's more likely that hypertension is actually caused by the diabetes. However, it's not beyond the realm of possibility. There's some crazy stuff we see. So that's why we say you can claim whatever you want. They don't have to say yes or grant it, but you can claim whatever you want. If you're not sure, just claim it. See if you can find some medical literature online, anything that would help strengthen like your case, especially because that's not the common consensus within the medical community. Anything fact specific to your conditions, if you want to do like a timeline or something, you can. Yeah.
Okay. Next question. Remember, guys, hold on, Chris. Put your questions in the comment because if we start going through these and we don't have questions, we're not going to just sit here and twiddle our thumbs. So please, if you're on and you have a question, don't be afraid. Just put the question out there. We'll be happy to answer it. But without any questions, there's nothing for us to do here because this is solely a Q&A. All right, go ahead, Chris.
Okay, this next one is from Kate Cannon. If I have medical from 1991 for eczema on active duty, maybe 2 more visits over the years, and quit a few the last year, should I file as a new claim or try to get rated secondary to SC, allergic rhinitis?
Service connection, allergic rhinitis.
Service connection.
So it sounds like they had eczema in service, a couple more visits over the years and quite a few last year.
Mm-hmm.
So if,
Seems more by that description, it seems more acute and transitory instead of a chronic disability. But you can claim it direct and secondary at the same time. You don't have to commit to one avenue of service connection. You know, they're all open to you and to be discussed at the same time. So go ahead, throw it at the wall and see if it sticks.
I mean, in my opinion, that maybe Jackie will agree, wouldn't it be maybe behoove to file the eczema as primary and or a secondary and then let the VA determine?
Yeah, that's what I just said. File it all at once. Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah. I know you don't feel good. Yeah, absolutely. Because, you know, when you reopen, you close claims, that's more work. That's more, you convolute like your claims file and everything.
Yeah.
So if you think there may be more than one theory of service connection, and you did say skin, so it's worth asking, are you like a Gulf War veteran, any of the locations under PACT Act, or, you know, any of the ones that could be considered under those ambiguous chronic multi-symptom illnesses, undiagnosed illnesses under 3.317, like anything like that would be worth claim it all together. Let them make the decision all together and see if they can determine it from there. It just makes more sense.
And that one where we were talking a while ago too, that about changing theory doesn't necessarily change the outcome.
Right, because I mean, like, think about it. Like, why do you want to keep putting a new claim in if the claims are taken, like, let's just say on average right now, the VA website says between 6 and 8 months, right? So
Right.
why would you want to wait to be denied to appeal again for like 4 or 5 different ways of service connection?
Right.
It's ridiculous. They can request everything at once, and maybe it's more likely that they think something caused it. You know,
Right.
it just makes sense to do it that way. The evidence is easier to read in the folders, you know.
I think it might be actually good to do, instead of a live Q&A one night, maybe intertwine it, doing education, because so many veterans that I get messaged or in the group, they're filing claims and then realizing they've screwed up, and the VA has to close it and say, you've already filed it. You need to do, like, maybe stop and just hold on a second and say, all right, well, I filed it this way. Because maybe they just don't know, and I don't know either, that if I filed it primary, but wait, now I want to file it secondary, well, then that's just, like you said, changing the theory. So maybe they should be just filing a supplemental now instead of filing a new claim. Right?
So once you claim a condition, you've claimed it. All right. Now, using different avenues of service connection doesn't change the fact that you've previously claimed it. So you would have to, you're right, put it on the prescribed form. That's definitely something that we can consider doing still.
Okay. All right.
Sure.
Hopefully we answered that question, because I totally just got lost in translation. Oh, sorry, guys. All right, next question.
Okay, the next one is from Mr. Jeff B.
Hey,
So had my CMP 10 days ago and PFT yesterday for my asthma. How do I go about getting copies of the results of these?
So you cannot actually get your CMP exam until the claim is decided. Or, I was going to say an or, you can answer on this too, Jackie. This is just what I know, but you can also interject. But if you have an agent, accredited agent or VSO, they can usually see the exam. So sometimes they'll give you either a copy or read it to you. But as far as I know, you're not able to go in and say, hey, give me a copy of my CMP exam. So what is your...
So so the claim doesn't have to be decided before you can see it. So if you have an examination conducted at the VHA, so a Veteran Affairs Hospital, you'll be able to see that in your medical record. You can go to va.gov and pull your blue button report and stuff.
Not till after 30 days.
It's 3 business days.
It's 30 days. They
must have changed it. It used to be it used to be 3 days. Seriously? Okay, so my bad.
No.
So you can see it. Now, if you go through a vendor, accredited agents aren't supposed to be printing out the exams or the code sheets or anything of that nature. They can lose their accreditation by doing so. So generally, the best way for you to go ahead and do that and get those records, unfortunately, is to do the Freedom of Information Act, the FOIA, which takes time. But yeah. Wow, I can't believe they changed that.
They did. So they're in there, but you can't see it. They're blocked because so many veterans were seeing it prior to the decision being made.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
Right. And they were able to say, hey, because why can I see it on VA, but you won't let me see a contracted one? So there was a lot of conflict. So, and then like you said, the best way to get your CMP exam and stuff is to put the FOIA request. I would also highly recommend all veterans get a copy of their claim file, also known as their C file, which contains all your documents, guys, to include those exams. So the answer to your question is you pretty much need to wait till after the exam, but I do know that some folks that can see it will at least read off, and sometimes they'll say, yeah, I think it's good or bad, but then sometimes that triggers a veteran too. So sometimes it's best to wait.
So somebody from a Facebook user just said in the chat, if you're still active duty, you can view the CMP papers on TRICARE online. Is that for vendors and VHA? I'm curious.
So if you're active duty and you go on the BDD and you go to and you file the BDD while you're active duty before you get out and you go to your exams, you can see your exams.
But like vendors too, you can see the vendor exams on TRICARE.
They can see all their CMP exams.
Oh, wow.
But not a veteran who's out. So anybody who's active duty can actually see on TRICARE and see their exams. Because I get a lot of that where guys are posting and gals saying, hey, I just saw my exam. And people are like, wait, how did you see your exam? And then they finally realize they're active duty. Because active duty can see them.
Super neat to know. Definitely didn't know that. Wow.
Yep.
Cool.
So it's kind of interesting that you don't have like the same rules apply kind of thing.
I know.
Oh, anyways.
Complain to your congressman, peeps. That's how these things change.
Okay, this next one is from Facebook as well. So vet recently approved at 40%. They put in to add wife. Prior to approval to add the wife, she passes away. Oh. Will vet get the dependent pay from effective date to the date of month of passing, or how would that play out?
Vet recently approved at 40. They put in to add the wife.
So I think for dependency, when you file that, they'll only go back from the date of claim, or maybe it might be 3 months, but don't quote me on that. So with that being said, if the wife was alive during that time period, then yes, they would back pay for the months that she was still with us. But you get paid for because VA pays in arrears. So that whatever month that she passed away in, the veteran would still receive that dependent pay for that month, but the following month it would be rescinded as long as it was duly reported, or they clearly knew about it in this case.
Yeah.
They would have to submit a death certificate though, correct?
No, it's enough. Sometimes the veterans will report it just to stop for the payment, because who wants to have a debt because they're waiting for the paperwork? Don't forget, VA has access. The spouses, they can pull up the spouses, not all of their social security information, but they can see if they're the date of death through social security too. So
Okay.
All right, next question.
Okay, so this next one is from Mr. Bob again. So going to a psychiatrist and neurologist for my MST has come out, and I was told by them to file disability, but was told not to even try because the only thing showing anything is 2 NJP within 6 months.
Well, first of all, doctors shouldn't be telling you to file claims, 1.
Mm-mm.
2, I'm a MST survivor. So if you do have MST and you do get a diagnosis for PTSD, for personal trauma or sexual assault, I absolutely think you should file for it. If you have, like I said, the current diagnosis and you had the trauma in service and you can connect the two, the examiner is going to have to concede and confirm the diagnosis for the PTSD for personal trauma, sexual assault. And the NJPs, while they're helpful, adding any additional information, you will have to fill out the form. We can flash that up. The VA 21-071 alpha. That is for PTSD secondary to personal trauma. I think it's personal trauma, sexual assault.
It is, yeah.
Absolutely. If you have it, if you have the trauma and it's come out and you've got the diagnosis, yes, but I usually don't like doctors telling people to file.
I would like to caveat on that. Yeah. Nobody should be telling any veteran whether they can or cannot file a claim.
Yeah.
You can file polka dots for all VA cares. You can. They don't have to grant service connection or benefits or entitlements for it, but nobody, whether it's a DSO, a doctor, anybody has the right to tell a veteran what they can and cannot claim, especially with sensitive issues like personal trauma and military sexual trauma. You know, VA has treatment records from the VAs, personnel records, treatment records, they go to specialized processors. That's why they take long. They're specially trained to go through the files and recognize signs, symptoms, markers, anything. So, an NJP could actually be used as a marker to substantiate your claim dependent on the overall evidentiary record. So
I
don't
think
listen to that doctor. If you were a victim of MST while you're in service, you should absolutely file it. The worst that can happen is they say no. Okay.
I hate seeing just a lot of people too that will post and say, hey, the doc, like I had a great exam and they said, oh yeah, I'm going to get rated for this and I'm going to, this, or, my doctor. Yes, you should always file for any and everything that you think you deserve to be rated for. And obviously, but you should have the evidence to support it. So, don't go filing for sleep apnea secondary to your toenail. That's not going to fly.
But at the same time, I mean, you guys know we see crazy stuff. I mean, mind-blowing stuff. So that's why we're saying don't not file. What's worst that can happen? You spent a few minutes filing your claim and they say no.
Yep.
What do you do? But what if they say yes?
Yeah.
Just file your claim. Let them sort it out.
But just have the evidence. That's all I'm saying. I mean,
yeah,
you file a claim, at least have the evidence. Don't just file something because Joe Blow over here has just filed for it. If you have something that you legitimately think you should file for it. But we just see so many people filing just to file, to throw it against the wall and see if it sticks. That's what clogs up the system.
VA has the duty to assist, to help. So it's not like, they have to do at least some research on it. So, right. I mean, I get it. I totally understand what you're saying, Steph. It's like, how are you coming up with this? But I mean,
right.
Just file it.
Okay. Next question.
All right. This next one's from Larry Schultz. Have you ever heard of the DoD losing all records? The National Archives have zero paperwork on me. I have.
Well,
personally.
The DoD?
Now I am going through the hoops with a VA medical for my 2 years during Operation Desert Shield Storm and with the 82nd Airborne Division during that time, also waiting for my disability rating.
Larry, were you a reservist?
I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Are you a reservist?
Because I've had veterans tell me that they had no service.
Hey, Chris, he's got a couple more. He's got to think a couple more. Pop up that question within 72 hours.
He's active duty. He was active duty.
Active duty. Okay.
Well, he was just explaining where he was at. That's.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes veterans will take copies of their medical records and then they don't give them back, and they don't realize that means their crap doesn't get submitted to MPRC. Of course, there was the fire that took out a lot of records, but that was like way back in the day. That's not going to affect you.
Right.
Even if they're saying, is it VA who told you they didn't have the records? I mean, if you deployed and you had a DD-214 that shows you were in Iraq, I mean, that would still substantiate some potential presumptives or terror considerations at the very least.
Well, he's saying DOD and then he's saying National Archives, and I know.
He said the U.S. Army HRC could not locate my DD-214. Instead, they issued me a DA Form 1569.
Where are you seeing that?
Well, it's not a question. It's right before, or right after Mr. Bob Connor, where he said "same here." It's in the comments.
Wow.
And right before Kate Cannon's question.
Chris, can you pop that up? Somebody pop it up if you see it.
It's right before the actual question he asked. It took me 7 years to get recognition through the U.S.
Can you click on it? Oh, I see it. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That.
It took me 7 years to get recognition from the U.S. Army HRC by using my LES to prove I served. U.S. Army HRC could not locate my. So you didn't get a DD-214 when you got out?
Instead, what's a 1569?
It's just a supplemental form they can use in lieu of a DD-214.
Right, because we all get a DD-214 when we ETS. So, all right. So a couple of things. I'm going back to this. Is the DOD versus National Archives. Is that the same thing? Because I know I always think DOD. Right. I always think DOD is on the active military side, and then like when you medically retire and stuff, and you're medically separating, I'm thinking DOD over here, and then National Archives has the STRs, you know, for where you served. So
Yeah, I mean, still file because they'll at least request
Yeah.
it and look for them. And even if they can't find them, it's not like a lost cause. VA actually has a heightened duty to assist for veterans whose records are lost or deemed irretrievable. So,
well, I mean, what is that 1569? I've never heard of that either. Is that just saying, yes, you did serve and here's your information? Okay, so that's helpful,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I've actually never seen one. That's really unusual for a veteran of like
Not have their
the
DD-214.
current time frame. Yeah.
Right. Can't you just go online and apply for your DD-214? I see so many of those options available now, like even with the VA to go and get your DD-214. And went through Nash. What does that say, Ash?
I went through National Archives. They said to contact DOD and U.S. Army. They had nothing. And I was about to private message y'all, but my dad also is having problems with his DD-214 now. I don't know the time of service, but
Yeah, Larry,
did,
when were
did
you
they
in?
always do the service 1, service 2, member 2, member 4 copies? Have they always done that?
For a long time, they have.
For
Yeah.
long
Time.
Hey, Larry,
My
if you can answer, when were you in the service? Like from when to when?
They said go for it, so 90s or 2000s.
Oh, did he? Okay. Oh, okay. I missed that. Well,
Yeah.
if you've got the 1569, Larry, I would go ahead and submit that with your claims. And if you're trying to file presumptive claims, okay. So he served 90 to 92.
He served the same year as my dad did, and my dad's been having problems with his DD-214.
Good
He
Lord.
can't even get.
That would have been in 1990.
He can't even get his ID.
Listen, any evidence that you have, you better make sure that VA ends up with it. This is why they tell service members to make a copy of their records before they get out and keep a copy of their DD-214 in the gun safe.
Hey, listen, Larry, Chris, pop our email up, please. Larry, why don't you go ahead and email me and the team and just tell me what you're trying to accomplish regarding disabilities you're trying to file. I'm assuming you're trying to file some presumptive, and then we can talk maybe a little bit more, but that is very unusual. And maybe I can see if I've got some avenues or something else to try and help you, and we can kind of go from there and see where you are currently, see what we can do to help, Larry. All right, next question.
Okay, this next one's from Facebook. So I've had buddy statements and shots in my knees, and why is that the VA still denies be a claim for my knees?
Well, without seeing the decision, we really can't say, but if I had to guess, and I put my guessing cap on, it would probably be because either you didn't have an injury in service for your knees that was chronic, that's where I'm kind of going with it. Depending on how long you were out, any continuity, not always necessary, but helpful. And if you have a current disability for your knees, is it due to service? But we really can't answer without seeing the decision. So it's kind of in the dark. But just because you have your knees currently diagnosed doesn't mean they're related to service unless you have the evidence to prove they're due to service. You have to have kind of like that triangular portion of it, as they call it, the Kalamazoo triangle. In service injury, continuity, not always necessary, and current diagnosis. What's he saying, Ash?
I did have something when I was active duty, but I lost my paperwork for it. So how do I prove it?
Again, VA will have, if there's no records, VA will have a heightened duty to assist in consideration of your claims. But, you know,
But he's already denied.
The best. I mean,
It sounds like he's already been denied. So in my opinion, I need to see the decision. That's the only way that kind of makes me kind of understand where the VA came.
For lost records like that, I would file it normally and personally. If it was me, I would, if I got denied on that first go and they had no records whatsoever, I'd just take it to the board, take it to the board, take it to the board.
Right. But I think he said he was already denied. That's making,
if he's within his appeal period.
Because the VA just keeps denying him.
Take it
right. So there's multiple denials stacking up. Again,
take it to the board.
Whenever I hear this question, the first thing I ask is, I'd like to see VA still denies. There's something behind the denial. So that's why I like to see the denials. Let me see the denial and what's going on. So if you want Facebook user to email me, redacting your personal information on the decision and or decisions, send them to this email. We'll take a look at it and we can kind of give you an answer at that point. But without seeing the denials, the only reason I can assume the VA keeps denying you is because the lack of evidence. Now, keep in mind, and Jackie, you can touch on this. We both agree here, the favorable findings is so confusing to a veteran because a lot of veterans think, wait a minute, I have a favorable finding. Why am I not service connected? You want to touch on that, Jackie, about the favorable findings? Because that's where a lot of veterans get confused.
Yeah, so a favorable findings meant to tell you, because it's you have to meet the certain elements of service connection. So for direct service connection, we have to have an event or injury in service, a nexus, and then evidence of a current disability. So basically, the favorable findings are going to tell you which elements that you met. So that's why you'll see you've been diagnosed with a disability. So it doesn't mean you were diagnosed with a disability at service, it just means you have a disability at some point. So VA exam conducted, blah, 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 confirms a diagnosis of a left knee injury or left knee tendonitis, left knee, whatever. But you still have to meet all the elements of service connection. Now, as you start claiming different avenues, the amount of favorable findings will grow. So especially with the presumptive, sometimes veterans will have, 8 favorable findings and they're still getting denied because all those favorable findings address each theory of service connection. So if a veteran claimed it direct, secondary, presumptive, they have to cover them all. So although it looks favorable, you're still missing some element. They're not denying just to deny. I've said it before and I'll say it again, way easier for a rater or DRO to grant you benefits than deny. All right. Much easier. Nobody's trying to deny. The current VA climate tells their employees, grant if you can, deny if you must. All right. It's a very positive climate right now for veterans and putting their claims in. So Stephanie, if Stephanie gets a copy of that letter, would be more than happy to look at it for you, but you're missing something.
Yeah. All right, next question.
Okay, this next one's from Facebook as well. I received a decision last month, but my VSO was pretty absent on the whole thing, and he didn't file for some things I think should have been included. Do I just file a new claim now?
Well, yes. And let me stress this to all veterans that are listening right now. You are your best own advocate. Please, as a veteran, if you have a representative, know what your representative is doing for you, to include an attorney, to include an accredited agent, to include these predatory companies out here, whoever's representing you and doing whatever for you. Know your claims and what you are submitting to the VA because it's imperative. And if you don't know that, then you are not being your own best advocate. And with that being said, if you didn't know what this VSO filed for you, then the answer is yes, you're going to need to file a new claim. What I would suggest that you do, and was that a Facebook user?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I don't have a name. What I would suggest you do, Facebook user, is you put in an intent to file right now, which is an ITF, and just secure it for up to 1 year and figure out what you need to file. Make sure what you want to file wasn't filed, etc., and regroup and then file under that ITF, because you have up to a year to file. And honestly, slow and steady wins the race, not just fast and throw it against the wall and see what sticks. So that's my 2 cents.
And if you hire representation as a lawyer or a VSO or a friend or your mom, I don't care. Ultimately, it's your unfortunately, it really is your responsibility to ensure that everything was filed correctly. So you wouldn't have an avenue for saying my VSO dropped the ball, my VSO didn't get back to me, my VSO didn't do the paperwork. So like Steph said, get that ITF in like tonight, and then collect your thoughts and your materials and your evidence, and then get your claim in.
Put that back up, Chris, his follow-up.
I didn't even realize he had filed until they scheduled my CMP exam 6 months
How
later.
do you not know?
That's because you have to be careful with your representation, especially these lawyers. A veteran only needs to sign that initial claim. After that, if you give a POA the right to access your file and be your representative, they can file whatever they want. So you better make sure that it's
This is
somebody
the
else.
VSO he's talking about. And
Yep,
honestly,
they can do it too.
Honestly, it should have never gotten to that point that you didn't even know what an exam was for a claim. I'm truly flabbergasted about that. But in any event, it's hindsight now. So try to take the advice, put the ITF in now, preserve that right now for up to a year, and then go forward with your claims. Sometimes, you just don't know, but at the end of the day, know what you file and make sure you know what claims are being filed on your behalf, because God, you don't want to go into an exam and not know wait a minute, I didn't file for this. It just doesn't look good.
Right.
Well, it doesn't look good on the veteran. Oh, I didn't know. Like, why am I going for an exam for this or something? What do you think the examiner's going to think?
Right. Exactly. So just make sure, guys, you know what you're filing claims for. Okay. Next question.
Okay, this next one's from Donald Conroy. What is the VA definition of loss of use? I am wheelchair bound and told I will be in it for good. Is that permanent loss or of use of my feet and legs?
Jackie.
So loss of use, VA defines as if it was like ascertainable. That's the equivalent that you didn't have it. So like your legs, so it would be like your legs are as useful as they would be if they were amputated. That's just the simple lay person speak for what VA considers for loss of use. It's pretty much essentially considered equal to an amputation, but you still have the limb. It has to be very, very severe for the loss of use.
Was there a question to it, or was he just asking what the definition of loss of use is? So would that answer be yes, because he's confined to the wheelchair?
People are in their wheelchairs and they still have use of their legs. So, I don't know if you qualify for it or not. I mean, you may if you're in a wheelchair, but it's really going to depend on.
Well, just being in a wheelchair isn't a disability. So what is the disability service connected? Is that where we're going with this?
Well, that, and it has to meet that higher level of severity. It's not like, oh, my legs hurt, or,
Right. Okay. All right. Next question.
Okay, this next one is from Tanya. I got out of the Marine Corps back in '96 after MST incident resulted in pregnancy, and leadership began harassing me, protecting him. I have never claimed anything and just did an ITF in August. I requested my medical and service records, but it's been an evidence gathering for 6 weeks. Do I have to have my records to file the claim?
No. So for MST, Tanya, first of all, very sorry about that. As I've mentioned, I am an MST survivor. You need to be filling out the VA 21-071A, and If it was not reported, you need the clear markers. There is a list of it in our group, but it's very easy to find on the web. If you just Google MST fact sheet with the VA, it will bring up a 3-page facts on MST and what is required. You don't need to have the diagnosis currently, but it's good to have the diagnosis that you have PTSD due to MST, and that it somehow is in conjunction with your service. And you will go, and Jackie can touch off me here, you will go to a CMP exam if they warrant the exam based on the evidence provided by you, because they have to concede and confirm the diagnosis, the examiner. I will say that sometimes it can be very hard to go through, but you have to be open and you have to be very candid, and you can't hold anything back, because if you don't tell the examiner, they're not going to know. So
Right.
you want to touch on anything, Jackie, on that?
No, other than just reiterate that VA has a duty to assist in helping you gain
Get
those federal records. So if you don't have them, they will develop for them. And if you can go ahead and get them any information ahead of time, like filling out that 0781 alpha, like Steph said, that's helpful. They're still going to send you like that notification letter with the MST development, asking if you reported it or anything of that nature. So if you didn't, no big deal. But they still have to go through the motions of making sure they have the best federal records to make a good decision on your claim.
And if you have anybody that you confide in, family, friends, anything, have them use the layman statement, the VA 21-10210. They can help support your claim as well by on the layman side of it. And if you're trying to find the records because of the pregnancy, you do not have to disclose this right now, but if the pregnancy went through, then obviously the child was there. If you lost the pregnancy, and maybe there's some documentation to coincide with that. Ashley knows, she's been there, done that too. So every bit of information. Hey Chris, can you punch up that her last question right there, follow up? Every bit of information that you can provide to support evidence is going to be helpful.
She said, I appreciate that. Thank you. I have been diagnosed with anxiety, depression, bipolar over the years after getting out. And so I have a buddy letter from a Marine I was stationed with. Other than that, only my mom knew.
Jackie, I have a question about that.
Go ahead.
So when somebody has anxiety, depression, and bipolar, okay, it doesn't have a PTSD, does that it makes it harder, right?
So I was actually just going to comment on this. Yeah. So unfortunately, when it comes to MST, it's so basically the VA is looking for two different things. All right. Especially if there's no record of the actual assault, they're looking, if it's on like markers or evidence, there's no actual event in service, because it's your statement or buddy statements, because we all know they go underreported or unreported, right?
Right.
So what has to happen is, based on the evidence of record, it needs to be, more likely or not that the MST happened based on the markers or the evidence was available. And then for markers to be considered, it actually does require a DSM-5 diagnosis of PTSD. Markers cannot be tied to depression or anxiety or whatever else. However, go ahead and still file it. Are you a medical professional? Are you a psychiatrist? I'm not either. So, let somebody go and evaluate you. These examiners who do these examinations, they're specially trained. They understand the complexities of the disability, and then the sensitivity that comes around it. So if people know like the whole story and look at the whole evidentiary record, they could find that it's more likely that you meet the PTSD and whatnot. And I'm not saying that it can't. So if there's actual evidence in service that it did happen, and you were pregnant, so it's potential, that's an event in service. It could be that you get a favorable opinion because there's something in service showing, okay? And that's when they would be able to tie a diagnosis other than PTSD to it. But right, so for MST, it has to be that diagnosis of.
Well, let me ask you this. I went through my MST exam many eons ago, and I got rated under that other what do they call it? Unrelated specified trauma or something.
Specified trauma
Right,
disorder,
other
yeah.
specified. And
Yeah.
I felt like I wasn't vindicated because it was like they didn't give me PTSD, but they acknowledged that it was due to service, but it wasn't PTSD. So it's possible that somebody can go through the exam and I guess get granted under that. I keep forgetting what it is.
Unspecified related traumas. I'm diagnosed with the same thing under MDD.
But when I filed for an increase down the road, I did get PTSD.
Right. So we know mental health conditions can wax and wane, and they're fluid, right? So
right.
Same thing, like with hearing, like it has to reach a certain level of severity before be able to grant service connection, even though you do have hearing loss. So it's just one of those things. So, don't get down. Go ahead, file your claim, and then see what happens. And then if you need assistance with it, reach out to staff, and we can take a look at it and give you some guidance as a team.
And Tanya, we're gonna put the link to the MST testimony. I actually did my first ever testimony back in March. It's pretty powerful, so it's pretty good and worth watching. But definitely put in the claim. And if you have any other questions, Tanya, that you need to reach out, like Jackie said, just email us. Of course, I'll put the email up there. Ashley and myself can also talk to you as well. We got the email, Chris.
Oh yeah, I'm just trying to get the link to your video.
Oh, I'm sorry, getting you two different things, huh? So there's the email, Tanya. So be sure to email us at that email if you have if you want to do some follow-up. Sorry about that, Chris. And Chris is going to drop the testimony link as well.
It's in there now.
Oh, thank you. All right, next question.
All right, this next one is from Henry Reneska. I just received my 100% PNT. Congratulations. Currently trying to research the state of Florida benefits. Have already applied for tax exemption. Can you provide a link for the research?
Yep, it's called Google. Called Florida benefits. We live in Florida. It's very stupid. I'm not trying to sound condescending, but just Google your state benefits. We do have the link in our group, but just Google Florida state benefits.
I think
it's
FL something.gov. They have a whole veterans guide, like kind of like VA puts out, like 60 pages of benefits you could be. We're both in Florida, so
right. And congrats on getting what you deserve. And there's a lot of benefits that come with it too, to include, the DMV, property tax exemption, all that stuff. So if you have any questions, again, feel free to email us. But it's really pretty basic. Just Google Florida benefits for 100% PNT, and you will see a lot.
She was correct. FloridaVets.org.
What is it?
FloridaVets.org.
You got the link? You want to pop it in there?
I will.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Look, Chris, you got a side partner right there helping you.
That's good. I'm monitoring YouTube and Facebook and questions and trying to go get videos and hey, do that. Okay, hold on.
You're doing good.
I'm trying to keep up with all these questions. I think you lit a fire because we had nothing, and then everybody's like, "Bing, bing, bing, bing."
I know.
Right.
Way to go.
We had 2 questions, and we're like, "All right, we're gonna bounce."
You did it to yourself, so now you got to suck it up.
I know. All right, that's good.
Right,
we're here to help. That's all. Okay.
I just sent it to you, Chris. Okay, this next one's from Mary, Miss Mary Hall. I submitted a claim for bilateral pes planus with plantar fasciitis, and the CMP examiner added hallux valgus and first metatarsal, I've heard of that, joint arthritis to the claim. Should I have a separate rating for hallux valgus of the right and left foot?
If you didn't claim it, it would be kind of iffy. Like if the examiner offered up an opinion and said it was likely related to everything, they could go ahead and rate you for it. But if they didn't, it's an unclaimed issue. If they don't address it, you can go ahead and claim it once you get your rating decision. And then they can get an opinion, but you didn't claim it. So it's really going to depend on how much information the examiner offered when it came to that one particular condition.
Well, so basically the examiner added bunions. So basically the examiner sees that she has bunions, and while they are rateable, because they are a separate rating, they can be like Morton's neuroma. I think the most you can get for it is 10%. Same thing with bunions. Like Morton's neuroma is 10% regardless.
Yeah. There's a lot of overlap with the feet, but you're right. Bunions can be evaluated separately.
So definitely, Mary, if it was added to your exam and the rater, I don't want to say takes the due diligence because
it's not due diligence. The rater's not required. You didn't claim it. And it's not one of those inferred issues. So it's possible. It's going to really depend on what the examiner offered up, because they can't develop to deny the claim. So they don't know if it's due to service. So if the examiner only identified it on the claim and didn't provide information the VA didn't ask for, they're not going to develop because they don't know if it will be service connected. So again, if they don't give it to you, then just file for it. No biggie.
So she should put in the ITF right now. Just put in an ITF because you may have some other claims to file.
That's a good idea.
Put the ITF in tonight. Let it sit there. Let the claim play out. As Jackie said, most likely it may or may not be added. And if it's not, and it's something that you can file, now you have the ITF. If you have anything else to file for, then you can add that too.
Okay, this next one is from Marie Holloman. I've been rated for 20% for type 2 diabetes for 13 years, and during those 13 years, I was on insulin for a while, but not currently not on insulin. Can I apply for an increase? Or do I have to be currently on the insulin?
Are you looking that up?
I was just refreshing my mind with the CFR, but so if you're not currently taking insulin, then you're not going to put in for that increase because you're not currently taking the medication. So if you are not, let's see, and restricted. So even with the hypoglycemic medication, you still warrant that 20% evaluation. So you're pretty much safe, but it's when you start requiring more than one injection of insulin, that's really when the next higher evaluation of diabetes comes into place. Either that, or you start requiring like hospitalizations and more doctor
does she take anything else like metformin?
So, that would be the oral hypoglycemic agent, would be the metformin that's commonly prescribed. The thing with diabetes is when you're doing the increase, so that's just for diabetes, but don't forget diabetes affects a lot of body systems. So if you ended up with something like if you had some neuropathies in your extremities, or maybe hypertension, kidney conditions and whatnot, if you start having these issues, that is something that you can claim secondary for your diabetes through either requesting an increase for your diabetes, they should address that, or you can actually claim those conditions secondary. Eyes too, I'm sorry, I forgot, eyes are usually a common secondary condition. So don't forget, it's not just based on like hospitalization, insulin, pills, whatever you're taking. It can affect so much different stuff. Keep that in mind for when
But also keep in mind, anytime you file for an increase, you risk a decrease. I'm not saying it's going to happen.
Yeah, but diabetes itself is pretty straightforward. So if that's your only evaluation right now, as long as you're taking that oral medication.
Okay. Well, she said she hasn't taken insulin in 13 years. So is she taking something else?
Well, insulin and metformin are two different things. One's the oral, one's a shot.
Did she say did she say that I missed? Oh, she's on Ozempic.
So that's a shot generally, right? So
Yeah, it
Yes.
is.
unless you're taking more than one shot per day, you're hospitalized, having bi-monthly visits to your diabetic care provider, and you don't have any other complications that can be separately evaluated, then you're going to still fall under that 20% evaluation most likely.
So the answer is she's asking to
unless
file
you
an
have
increase.
your body systems affected, I don't
Yeah.
think. It really sounds like you would warrant an increase, but we're just
Right.
talking through ideas right now. So
So it sounds like, I mean, again, this is just our thought process here. It sounds like she's probably pretty much still that 20% based on that. Okay. Can we follow up with Mary, Chris? She had two more to us. This was from Mary just a second ago, guys.
Okay, Miss Mary said the examiner indicated that your condition has progressed and now includes hallux valgus and first metatarsal joint arthritis.
Okay.
oh, that's good. So there you go. The examiner tied it all together for you.
Yep. So since the symptoms of your foot disabilities overlap, a single evaluation is assigned to represent the overall impairment due to these conditions. 38 CFR 4.14.
So it sounds like you already got a decision. Did you get a decision?
Let me double check my notes. I'm almost positive hallux or the bunions can be separately
I
evaluated.
know they can be separated. I'm looking at the foot condition. It's 10%. But what's the 4.14? Because it sounds like she got a decision. They're saying they overlap. Can you put that last one back up, Chris?
Yes, I did.
You did get a decision.
Yeah.
So the metatarsalgia, whatever that thing,
Metatarsal.
only going to be
Metatarsal.
included with the thing, but bunions should be separate.
It
and
should be.
most
4.14
other
wouldn't
foot
apply with
conditions.
avoidance of pyramiding. That's incorrect.
Well, I mean, we don't know every diagnosis she has of her.
No,
foot,
but
so-
I have many feet. I have many feet ratings and they're all separate. What I'm saying is bunions is a 10% disability in of itself. She can be
It would be
rated.
a common error, though, easy to fix.
Yeah.
Hey, Big B, that's awesome. Your son is where Marines are actually made
Huh?
instead of those Hollywood Marines going to baseball games. Good for him. Wishing him the best of luck.
So Mary, if that's what it says, it sounds like that you should be able to apply for the bunion. You only get one rating at 10%, but I mean, I was looking at the foot conditions under the CFR, and it's just like Morton's neuroma, but you only get one rating for it, but you can get it separately. So while I have my metatarsals rated, like my fifth metatarsal, I can also get rated for, which I do have, my Morton's neuroma. Oh, somebody's saying Jackie, wait a minute, I went to San Diego. Someone's talking
Oh
to you.
yeah,
Jack.
you should be proud of your son then. He's gonna be a real Marine.
So Mary, if you want, Mary, I know you want to send it over to the email, go ahead and send it over. We can look at the decision and we can
Probably
get
not going to change an evaluation because of the pain isn't going to be attributed to something else. But I mean, you still want it rated right, you know?
right. Exactly. I mean, 10% is another 10%.
She
The
says she
rating.
looked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bunions can be rated separately. But if you want, send it over, Mary. I'll take a look. Just redact your personal information and send it to the email. All right. Next question.
Okay, this next one's from Bob Williamson. I am having my doctor complete a DBQ for my asthma claim. In the section Evidence Reviewed, I've read that it's required for her to review my claims file.
Well, she should be reviewing everything.
Is there any recommended wording for her to use to verify that she reviewed it?
Yeah, I reviewed your medical records and all pertinent information.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you're having a private doctor fill out the DBQ, you want them to fill it out to the best of their ability. But if it's lacking any information, it's going to develop a CMP exam. But when it comes to reviewing your records, you do want the doctor to review your medical records past and present and state that they have. And I
Yeah.
wish Blake.
Is this a VA doctor? That's what I'm wondering. Or is it a personal doctor?
It doesn't matter, any doctor, they have to review your
Right.
record.
But I'm saying to review the records, though, he'd have to give them to his doctor.
Right.
So
I mean,
don't have
the
the
doctor's not going to
lie.
just say,
You'd
hey,
have
I
to give
reviewed
them your
this.
military records.
Right. But what I'm saying is, a doctor shouldn't just say, yeah, okay, I'll take your word for it, because, unless it's one of those other doctors that we won't even mention. But if a doctor is legitimately filling out a DBQ, they're going to need to review your current records, obviously the doctor, and their past records. So they should be stating that they reviewed all pertinent medical records.
What
Greg,
Greg put.
it's his personal doctor. So Greg's saying, too, the veteran provided a copy of their VA claims folder for review.
Well, I mean, they can disprove that if the veteran doesn't have an FOIA, just saying. But they get
Bob
that.
said it's personal.
Right. Just don't. You better provide the records to the doctor is all I'm saying.
Right.
Well, I mean, when you want a doctor to fill out a medical opinion anyways, you're going to want to give them all the pertinent medical records to support them writing and filling out the DBQ. I mean, I've had private doctors,
If they're legit.
Well, correct, if they're legit, and we won't even go there right now. But I'm just saying is if, and I'm trying to answer, who was it that put up that question? Was it Bob?
Yes, ma'am. Bob Williamson.
Okay. So yes, if you want your doctor to fill out a DBQ and have it be a solid DBQ, they need to make sure that they are stating they have reviewed all pertinent medical records, to include whatever records you're providing them. And then give their rationale at the end of the DBQ as well, along with everything else required for the asthma. And depending on how you're filling out, I guess how you filed the asthma will also determine if you're filing primary. Is it presumptive, or are you filing the asthma secondary? Oh, Mary did. Hey, hold on, Chris. Mary did send us a copy of the decision a couple months ago. Thank you for all your help in this matter. So I think I'm hoping we answered it, because I would have caught that, Mary. So I'll look back through my files, and I'll get back to you, Mary, on that.
Yeah, I got back. Well, according to this, I got back to you on it, on how to appeal it.
Yeah,
If you don't have that email, Mary, let me know, because I'm looking at it right now.
You sent it to Mary?
That was just correspondence between me and Mary in my email.
Okay,
right.
So right.
Yeah, I
so
responded to it. So if you didn't get
Mary.
it, I'll resend it.
Yeah, Mary, she sent it to you. So just let us know if you got it or not, and happy to help. I thought you were conversing with her. That's right.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, this next one's from Lionel Cannon. If you have a total knee replacement, is the minimum disability 30% per leg?
I'm sorry.
Sorry, forgot to mention I had both knees repled.
Put that question back up. I was looking over here.
Yes.
You have a total knee replacement. Is the minimum? Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. It is. If the knees are service connected and you have a TKR, you will be paid at 100% for the, I think it's like 5 months, 4 months, or is it 5 months, Jackie, now? Because it used to be a year.
4 months, I think.
4 months. And then after that, you're re-rated, and it's typically minimum is 30%.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, minimum evaluation with total replacement only 30%.
Right.
And then I think, yeah, so it's 4 months following the implementation of the prosthetic.
And they automatically do the exam, don't they?
I don't know. Sometimes I've seen it that they do, and I've seen it that they don't. Some people see that they just go ahead, and at the end of that period, then they'll just grant the 30. And if the veteran thinks they warrant a higher evaluation, they can come in. But most people, because the knees, they had surgery to make it better. So usually that 30% wouldn't be much higher for most people after the surgery.
Right. And just to follow up on that, make sure that you do file for the 100% temporary disability for the total knee replacement. We do have a video on that, on how to file. pretty easy to do so. Like Jackie and I said, it's 4 months, you get it at 100%. And then after that, you're reevaluated for the knee. And that's so long the knees are service connected. One knee, if both knees had the TKR, great. If one knee had it, whatever, the knee has to be service connected in order to get the 100% temporary disability. And to follow up on Bob Wilson, he is filing it presumptive, the asthma. So per the PACT Act, since the 10-year rule was removed, so long as you have a chronic disabling diagnosis currently for asthma and you have the presumptive, the VA will concede it was due to service, but again, you have to have chronic, correct, Jackie? He's got to have a chronic current asthma diagnosis from his doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Would he really need a DBQ for that? Wouldn't he just need his doctor notes for the diagnosis? Wouldn't it be easier?
I'm sorry, I zoned out for a second.
Sure. The asthma guy, if he is filing presumptive, would he really need that DBQ filled out, or wouldn't his current medical records that show he has a chronic disabling disability of asthma be enough?
Yeah, as long as he's been treated for it for like at least 6 months or whatnot, and seeing the doctor and stuff, sure, that should do the trick. But if the doctor is willing to fill out that paperwork, why not make their jobs a little bit easier and make your,
Okay. Yeah, go for it, Bob. Get as much ammo. I agree. Okay. I just want to follow up on that.
Okay, this next one's from Facebook. Is it normal to have several CMP exams crammed into one appointment?
Yeah, possible. I've seen some veterans go for 30 conditions to one doctor. I don't get it, but I have seen it.
Well, it's good. I mean, they're trying to do everything and make it less trips. Yeah. Usually when you have multiple appointments, it's because you filed multiple claims or you have to be seen by a specialist for something. They really do try to do everything at once because, not everybody's spry and transportation and all that stuff. They don't do it for detriment. They do it for the benefit of the veteran.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, this next one's from Mr. Jeff B. What happens if all my medical records are not in the C file that I just received? I have to hand carry my disc to the Cleveland office next month as I have another vet's 214 and record in my files. Oh, wow.
Report it. Report it.
That.
VA and report it because they need to fix that right away. And it will get attention and they will fix it. And if you can, upload your own information, va.gov, for the key benefits. They don't want your disc. They really don't.
No.
If you can upload it yourself or do a paper copy, that's much, much better. But definitely report it. I wouldn't even wait. I would like do it tomorrow or tonight or yeah.
Is that the 800 number?
Would you call the 800 number on that, or would you?
I would start with the 1-800 number. I mean, they should flag it because it's PII and it could be construed as fraudulent activities. So it should
start with the 800 number and go from there, and they'll can direct you.
That's terrible. I mean, I know people make mistakes and stuff, but dang. Let us know how that turns out, Jeff. Next question. Oh, Larry's back.
So Larry Schultz, as a Asian American, Okinawan Caucasian mix, do I have any recourse for anti-Asian racial abuse for PTSD or psychological category during my service?
Well, when you were in the service, were you?
How can you connect it?
Due to racism? I mean,
I would just file that under personal trauma.
Yeah.
Let them sort it out. I mean, I could file racism against me. You know what I mean? Like, if that's what you feel, then file it.
Yeah. I mean, if that's what happened and you want to file and you have some evidence to support it in your statement. I mean, racism happens all the time. So, I mean, anywhere and any time, any place. So if you think it's a personal trauma that's affected you, I would. Absolutely.
Body statement?
What? Oh,
use a
yeah. I
body
mean, yeah.
statement,
Yeah. I mean,
someone that witnessed it.
that's a good one, Larry. If you have, if somebody actually witnessed it in service, that's a good point, Chris, or you confided in somebody right after it, or even down the road, and, it's really been bothering you and it's traumatizing you, then absolutely have them fill out the layman witness statement. You should fill out your own personal statement, which is that VA21-0781 alpha, and not that one. And then provide all of your own statement as to what happened, and give in great detail. And like Jackie said, let the VA sort it out.
Everybody who experiences some sort of like trauma and, unsavory situations like this, it doesn't always result in, PTSD. It still has to meet all the requirements, but you can certainly try.
Yeah, PTSD under the DSM is quite. You read up on it; it's quite interesting. All right.
Okay.
Other-
That's the guy I was telling y'all about.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Mr. Scott Painter. So I was in Kandar for about a year and slept within 100 meters of a giant pond of feces and urine. What evidence do I need for related claims apart from being able to point it out on a map?
Well, what did it cause? Besides
He's
sleepiness.
sinus infections is what we was texting back and forth, but sinus infections?
So if that's the case, you can do your lay statement, but why wouldn't you just file under Terra? If you have sinusitis, rhinitis, asthma, those are all presumptives under 3.30 in Afghanistan. Just file under Terra. You don't have to. You can reference the poupon, but I mean, toxic exposures. They already concede that if there's records that you deployed. So
or any pictures maybe that you have taken.
You don't need to reinvent the wheel.
You don't really need that. I mean, if he's got the current diagnosis,
He's not. He's not.
Well, he needs a current diagnosis. Just because he slept near a pond of feces isn't going to get him presumptive service connected. You got to have a current diagnosis.
Yeah, they want you to swim in it, right?
Huh?
So they want you to swim in it, right?
Right. You got to have a current diagnosis of what you're saying the presumptive area is causing. And like Jackie's saying, you could go under the Terra. So that's a toxic risk exposure. So activity. So if you get the diagnosis, okay, that's good. I hope you have an ITF in place right now, Scott. If you don't,
I told him to. Yep. Okay. I've already told him.
Good job, Ash. Put the ITF in place now. Let it sit there. Get the diagnosis, and then go from there and go the presumptive route. But you need the current diagnosis.
All right. Okay, so this one's from Facebook. Husband was rated 10% for being benign brain tumor, when in fact it was cancer and now grade 3, major deficiency. Will they tie this to PACT Act automatically? Submitted this July 13th for supplemental claim to correct this. Would this be 100%? He is currently at 60% with 50% for anxiety and depression.
If you served in the qualifying areas, brain cancer is a presumptive of Gulf War and PACT Act. So they should service connect it. Brain cancer, I'm so sorry to read that, but if you stage 3, if there's any records that would say if he I don't know what his current medical situation is, but if he was had a terminal condition or something, you want to make sure that you get that in so that they can flash his
it's already rated.
So what's
I don't understand.
Because they rated it as benign, right?
Right.
That's what she's saying. It's already rated. He would not
malignant. Huh? Is that what's going on?
Say that again.
They rated it or evaluated it as a benign
brain tumor.
Okay, and now it's cancer. So
well, benign still cancer. It's just not malignant.
No, it's not. It's benign. It's not cancerous. So
it's just
okay.
Absolutely. File that supplemental claim.
But would she file for an increase? What would
Well,
you do?
it's potential that a benign tumor can eventually start or can eventually go to
17
malignancy. It
years
sounds a
ago.
little more complicated. Why don't you email Steph
Yeah.
with the facts, and then we can address it. And then, like I was saying, I know you said stage 3.
Hold on. It gets
I know
better.
you said stage 3 cancer. So if he is considered like terminal, make sure that you guys get that into the VA so they can expedite it.
Hold on. We got a hold on. We got a whole lot going on here.
If it's 100%, if he's IU and it's actually malignant brain tumor, then they can get rid of that, IU.
Why?
Because it may entitle him to higher things. Because if he has a single current disability at 100%, he could potentially rate the housebound now. So that's why.
But the 100% will only be while the cancer is active. Then it's re-rated after it goes in remission. So that, to me, I understand what you're saying, but that 100% isn't going to stay permanent. I understand he's getting paid at 100% right now.
Okay,
but
well, take the money now or then. It's up to the veteran, really.
Well, no, I mean, I'm just stating that 100% is not a. When you say 100% plus 60% in additional rates housebound, that's correct.
Well, if you think about it, most brain cancers will have some sort of residual due to surgeries or neurological deficits. So it probably won't go back to
But I'm saying 100% would never stay permanent.
Well, I'd rather not argue about the cancer. Just send us the facts of the case, and we can give you a good recommendation based on their circumstances. Okay.
Yeah.
But definitely let us know what he's IU for too. Like if it's all of his service-connected disabilities or one, that would be helpful.
And redact all your personal information as well. And then we can see, like Jackie said, the list and everything, and we can go from there. I have benefits with 0 ratings. Oh, is this the new question? Oh, okay.
Okay. I have benefits with a 0 rating, so no monetary benefits. It's been more than a year since my decision. Can you tell me which VA form I need to raise my rating?
The VA 21526 EZ and file for an increase. And then you just provide your supporting evidence to file for the increase.
If you have 2 or more zeros and they haven't rendered a decision based on multiple 0% evaluations, you may want to request that they do that. They potentially may owe you some money if they did not make that determination. If you have more than 1 0 and the conditions somehow affect your employability, they can, with 2 or more zeros, they may be able to pay you at least the 10% rate. So you've got something, but without knowing the specific circumstances of your case, it's impossible. But if you have more than 1 0 and you have nothing else evaluated and they didn't do the determination, it's worth asking for.
And sometimes when I hear that, it winds up being they're not service connected. When I hear 0, I'm not saying that that's the person's case, but
yeah.
All right. Steph, we're up at almost an hour and a half, and it looks like you're dragging.
What do you mean I'm dragging? We got questions.
I know.
I see 2, definitely.
I said we're at an hour and a half.
Okay. How many more questions we got? Because I see a bunch of them starred.
I see 2 on YouTube.
Well, I see another one here, and then I
got
see
potentially 5.
Okay, so let's roll with it. Go ahead.
Okay, Facebook. When you file, are there 3 types: primary, secondary, and presumptive, or secondary conditions filed only following a decision?
No, you can file 5 different ways at once. So you have primary, secondary. Under secondary falls aggravation by a service-connected disability of like a non-service-connected disability. You have pre-service service or precondition conditions for aggravation. You have presumptive. So there's like a number of different ways. You can file them one by one and maybe you'll get a decision before you die someday. or you can file them all together. I personally recommend filing them all together. Other people have their preferences, but you don't have to be denied to claim it, as
Right.
secondary to something. You can do it all at once. Let them figure it out.
And you can always file primary and secondary at the same time. I never knew that for the longest time. I recently learned that just like within the last couple of years. I thought you had to be service connected before you could file a secondary, and you don't. You can file the primary with the secondary. Okay, next question.
Okay, Brock Loy, IBS being presumptive, I do have a diagnosis. Should I file it mixed IBS? Also, could I file hemorrhoids secondary to the mixed IBS, assuming that it is PACT Act presumptive for the IBS?
Isn't it gastrointestinal something, or I always get this mixed up. Is IBS an actual presumptive, or do you file it as gastro?
So the three presumptives under 3.317 are chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, and
Gastroenterology.
yeah. So I mean, just don't forget there's certain criteria under the 3.317 than there is just a regular PACT Act and stuff. So
I guess they could file it as presumptive, the IBS.
if they had qualifying Gulf War service, file it as presumptive. Hemorrhoids would be, a really
Secondary.
common side effect. So you can definitely just claim them all at the same time. If you had any stomach problems in service, go ahead and file it direct to, cover all your bases and let them discuss it all at once.
Yeah. And just make sure you have a chronic disability currently, because you're going to need that to file the presumptive.
No, it does not include GERD. Under 3.317, structural gastrointestinal diseases are exempt. So that means under the chronic MUCNI or multi-symptom chronic illnesses and all that jazz, no diabetes, no multiple sclerosis, no sleep apnea, no GERD, no ulcerative colitis, stuff like that, because they're structural. Just because they can't be considered under 3.317 doesn't mean that they can't be considered under PACT Act, environmental exposures, burn pits, and particulate matter.
You said it was in Iraq, so yeah.
Yeah. So they can be still claimed due to TERA. It's just they don't fall under that chronic multi-symptom or undiagnosed illness.
Miss Angela B., can GERD and diverticulitis be connected to PTSD?
Well, I'll answer one of these. GERD could be associated to the medication you take for PTSD. I haven't heard of that. But you would need to show the causation that PTSD is causing the GERD. And then now we're going to fall under the digestive system, right, Jackie, where it's presumptive, where the pyrimidine comes into factor. Is diverticulitis the one that falls? I can look it up, but
so I'm actually not off the top of my head. I'm trying to think. Diverticulitis seems like it would be like a structural type of gastrointestinal disease. However, I've seen some crazy stuff linked to PTSD. So I don't think it would be outside the realm of possibility, but I don't think that would be a super commonly accepted causative factor. I'm not saying it couldn't be, but GERD, I've seen GERD due to medications, and I've seen GERD itself just linked to PTSD. That's not that far of a right.
Okay.
But I just answered the question. Just claim it. Everybody has seen something sometime.
Well, here's the thing. Diverticulitis is under 7319, which is the IBS. It's irritable bowel colon. So that becomes a pyrimidine problem. So you can't have GERD and you can't have that rating at the same. That would be pyrimidine. You can have one or the other. You can have both, but you're going to be rated for one or the other.
They were just asking if those conditions could be related to PTSD, though. They weren't.
Right, but sometimes they go and file. I mean, I guess you could file for both of them and then just see what the VA would do. But
so let me ask, Greg, do you think diverticulitis would be like a structural,
structural disease?
I think it is, because it messes with the actual lining of your digestive tract, and it can be tested and treated. But obviously,
Yes.
but we can move on to the next question stuff.
Okay.
Okay, this one's from Facebook. Can scientific evidence be considered new and relevant evidence for 0995?
Relevant, yes.
It could if it's relevant. Anything that you submit can be new. What do you say? That's beyond my medical.
Yeah, send it to the examiner for an opinion.
It could be if it's relevant as new and new evidence under the supplemental. Yes. Okay.
All right. I think we've come to the end.
We come to the end.
Yep.
All right.
You've done
Well,
had enough.
Thanks, ladies. Thanks, Chris. We made it through. So I
Steph's going to go
appreciate
to bed.
that.
Jackie, Ashley, thank you for being on again. As always, everyone's shouting out, give it a little love. Like I said, remember, guys, email us. If you didn't get to your question or you need more, more to the question, email us, redact personal information. And don't forget, hit up our Facebook page, hit up our YouTube page. We have a lot of videos, a lot of docs, a lot of helpful information you can get right on those pages.
Yeah, and as
Y'all are
always, guys,
awesome. Hey, what's this face green smiling there, Jackie?
I know, I like that.
I don't know. It just looked like a Frankenstein. We're getting close to Halloween. I'm in the spirit.
You know what it does? It's spelled out what I could see. It's spelled out.
what it was? Did I
It
miss
says face green smiling. That's what it says.
Oh, I can actually see the actual emoji.
Oh, I can't
It's
see
cute.
the little emoji. I can't see it. It says face green smiling.
Face green.
Andy thinks he's going to get Oreos at this
And Andy's
night.
back.
And Andy.
So,
All right.
guys, we know the holidays are coming up, so just bear with us. And when we're going to get some lives kind of in there, we'll have to figure all that out. But thanks, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Peace out.